Welcome to Reread. Today I'm going through the classic Star Wars comic books, issues 17 through 20. Let's do this. On a mission to find an alternate route for the Rebel fleet, because they're on their way to Hoth, but just in case they may need other routes to avoid the Empire, Luke crashes his X-Wing for the 12th time and celebrates too, because that's a dozen. Now that route's going to come in handy because later on he's going to guide the Rebel fleet through next to a sun, I guess, and around some solar flares. Like he tells them to stop, solar flare happens, then go. Well, Admiral Griff is really, he finds out that Darth Vader has fixed the Executor and is on his way to intercept the Rebels. Well, he really wants to get those Rebels, so he decides to do a micro jump and get to the other side of the sun, I think, and then surprise them. Well, of course, when he does that, Vader is right on the Rebel fleet's tail. And when Admiral Griff comes out, he just starts firing at the first person he sees just to try to surprise them. And, of course, it's the Executor, which damages again, which, you know, Admiral Griff will pay the penalty as he will force choke him. And the Rebel fleet is allowed to escape. Now, after that, Luke and Han are in the Millennium Falcon, and they get separated from the Rebel fleet because they're taking several micro jumps here and there and here and there just to kind of throw the Empire off before they make it to Hoth. It's a long road to Hoth. And Han Solo's nav computer is damaged, so they don't crash land. They land on a planet, and it seems harmless. It seems like a tropical paradise. And Han Solo the whole time is going, something's bad. Whenever we come to here, whenever something looks perfect, it's bad. There's something awful here. And everyone's going, no. And Luke's like, I don't feel anything in the Force. We're fine. He goes, nope, it always happens. And it's almost like the writer knew this is kind of a generic story, so I'm going to be the cynical Han Solo and just go ahead and call my shot here. Now, sure enough, weird things start happening. Luke starts seeing weird things because he's on a planet with a mind witch. And this mind witch has made a psychic connection, maybe through the Force to kind of get Luke, and she's going to suck out his life essence. In fact, there was this Imperial ship that had landed there years ago, and all the bodies are gone. It's just stormtrooper armor. And what it turns out is when she sucks you dry, your body disappears and evaporates. And so, of course, she's trying to get to not to Han Solo, to Luke Skywalker. Han is trying to rescue him, but he has to climb up this cliff. And he turns to Chewie and goes, this has got to be the slowest rescue mission ever. I don't know, for some reason, there's a lot of good Han humor in here. These couple of issues really made me laugh out loud. There's a lot of funny things that Han did and said. For instance, a few other things is when 3PO tells them the odds of trying to locate Luke on this jungle planet because he's gone missing, Han stops and goes, do you have any good odds? Are there any? No, he said, what is it? Are there any statistics? Do you have any positive statistics, 3PO? That's just so great because it's 3PO. And then another thing he says when they get home, when they escape the Mind Witch and go back to Yavin, he goes, hey, oh, and by the way, one of the things, I thought the Force Beast was on this planet and Luke had to fight him again, but that turned out to be an illusion, so I forgot about that. I thought that Luke had finally defeated the Force Beast. He sees him, but it's all an illusion. So the Force Beast is still out there, and I kind of would think it'd be funny if, like, years later, like, let's say after Crucible, they come across a derelict ship with the Force Beast. He has to fight it again 40 years later. Wouldn't that be great? Anyway, when they finally catch up to the fleet, Han tells Luke the rebellion's going to be happy to see them. And he goes, especially Leia. And in that same panel is Leia chewing out, you bantha-brained, nerf-hurting, just starts chewing him out because he got followed. You know, they landed on Hoth, but there's a ship that followed him through hyperspace. And so Luke and Han just zip back into the Millennium Falcon to go to intercept the ship to see what it is. It doesn't look like an Imperial ship, and Luke has a feeling like, hey, you know what? It's trying to catch us with a tractor beam. Let's allow ourselves to get captured and see what's going on. And Han goes, he said, you know, willingly surrendering the Falcon to get captured goes against everything I stand for. And Chewbacca barks something, and Han responds, well, that was different. We were getting paid. I don't know what he was talking about, but that was hilarious. Well, who is in the ship? Well, it turns out to be Rasker. Had to look up his name there. The pirate who had the power gem earlier. He's back on the run. He's back to pirating. He's trying to make one final score, and maybe he will turn Han Solo into Jabba the Hutt, but he thinks that Han Solo has some buried treasure on Hoth. Why else would you go to Hoth? Well, the thing is, though, they're trying to keep the rebel base a secret, so they're like, yeah, buried treasure. And they're just leading him as far away from the base as they can. They lead him to these ice caverns where they find this lumen spice, glowing spice, but it's protected by a dragon slug. And the dragon slug is this big serpent that breathes fire, and they have to escape. Well, as a lot of the pirates' men dies, Han actually saves Raskar's life, and Raskar is eternally grateful, for them defeating the dragon slug, and now he just takes all the spice and says, you know what, I'm in such a good mood, I will not turn you into Jabba the Hutt. Well, yeah, I guess, but by the way, they saved you. I think you're in their debt. Like, I don't think he could have left him to die and just hopped on the Falcon. So, but Raskar makes out like a bandit, and, Han and Luke are happy because the rebel base is still a secret. But unfortunately, when they return to the pirate ship, there is a bunch of bounty hunters there. Dengar and Bossk and Score. Score from earlier in the series is mad because that after the last entanglement with Han Solo, he got sent to the spice mines of Kessel, and he's pissed. And so he wants his revenge. He doesn't care about reward. He just wants his revenge. And for some reason, and the writers got this wrong, they just didn't remember this, he refers to Dengar as Zuckuss twice. At first I thought it was a mistake. I went, oh, is Zuckuss there? No, Zuckuss isn't there. He's referring to Dengar. The writer just forgot what Zuckuss and Dengar looked like. He got him confused, and so Score calls him Zuckuss. Now that's not really, a contradiction in the EU. Maybe Score just didn't know his name. Of course, Dengar probably would have corrected him. So either way, it was the writer's mistake. He just got his bounty hunters mixed up. But Score, as the whole bounty hunters together, it took a lot of bounty hunters to capture Han Solo, or went to go capture Han Solo. And as they're bringing him to Jabba the Hutt, Score tricks the bounty hunters and steals Han and takes him away, and Luke too, and he's going to kill Han Solo. He didn't care about the reward. He just wants to see Han Solo dead. And because he doesn't even like the Empire either. And the Empire wants Luke. So screw the Empire, I'll take Luke, and screw Jabba because I'm going to kill you myself. Of course, Luke force pushes the blaster up in the air. Han wrestles with him to the ground. The gun goes off. Oh, and Score kills himself. Now, Kevin J. Anderson did not remember this because he wanted Score in Young Jedi Knights. In fact, he was in Young Jedi Knights until I believe it was Leland Chigo's, he died in classic Star Wars. So, and I tried to see, is it not said that he died? Is it just implied? No. Han does say the gun went off. He had the gun and the gun went off. The bad guy, the villain, is usually the maker of their own demise there. And so he is clearly dead. There is no question mark there. After that, Han and Luke go off to rescue the droids who are investigating something on a planet. And there's an Imperial probe droid. And Han tries shooting it because somehow Vader is in this weird gadget contraption. He's doing a mind link through the probe droid into Luke's mind too, and Luke is helpless against the probe droid, and Han keeps shooting at it, but it's got a protective shield, and the blaster isn't working, so he has to go in there and get creative to blow up the Imperial probe droid to rescue Luke. And he does that eventually, but it kind of explains why Han knew something was up when he shot the Imperial probe droid on Hoth. He goes, I didn't hit him that hard. He must have just self-destructed. And so I kind of like this because it kind of explains how Han knew so much about Imperial probe droids, because he has encountered one before. Now, overall, classic Star Wars, like I said, it's a fun series to read. I do recommend it. It's a lot of fun. There are connections because authors made those connections purposely. They love those comic books, and they just included them into their stories. So I don't know. I think this is kind of easy to get. I think Marvel's reprinted it too. But yeah, if you have a chance to read it, you definitely should. All right, folks, that's it for now. See you later.